Hello, I'm HiBreck from Ukraine, and in the previous video I built a huge project Lady Dimitrescu castle, but now I decided to go my next project even big, real big. This is AlanWake in Minecraft. In this video I wanna completely rebuild the town of Bright Falls on 1:1 scale from the game AlanWake in Minecraft, but with some nuances. I also have a challenge to make an interior in all the houses. I want 95% of the building to be able to walk around in peace. For those who still don't know about the game AlanWake, I briefly tell you about it. AlanWake is a game that was released in 2010 as a psychological thriller video game, and in 2023 the second part is the survival horror genre. The game is known for its horror atmosphere, interesting and deep story, and very beautiful locations. One of them is the cult town of Bright Falls, where the main character, a writer, faced with the mysticism that permeated the entire town. Make yourself comfortable because you are gonna to hear some very exciting stories about this town and how I built it. Let's get to it. First, before building the town I need to make a landscape, but there are several serious problems with Minecraft. The first problem is that I want to be able to transfer the entire landscape from the game 1:1 because the original map has a very huge scale, and if I did I wouldn't be able to fit all the landscapes into the player's 64 chunk view. I could have ignored it, but these landscape elements are very important for the atmosphere and beauty of the city, so I had to follow a different plan. So the backup plan is a game of perspective. Thanks to the perspective, I'll be able to shrink the background mountains to a smaller size and move them closer, so that I can fit the entire landscape into a 64 chunk render. But the most interesting thing is that I need to keep the original scale of the town itself, and that's a dumb difficult thing to do, but with the help of Photoshop and the visualization system of rings that mark the rendering area, I was able to fit everything into the player's field of view. I realized that not every computer is capable of rendering 64 chunks, and I really wanna be able to fit everything into 32 chunks, but it's very difficult to keep the original size of the town. If I did, I would have to sacrifice the scale of the town, which would be reduced by 1.5 scale, and this would affect the size of the houses, which would be bad for detail and interiors. And the second problem is that Minecraft has a limit of the height of building, and if I made the landscape 1:1, the mountains would just not fit in a height. So I took 64 chunks as a basis, threw a Photoshop scheme into World Painter and made these amazing landscapes. Bright Falls is a fictional town located in Washington state in a remote part of the country away from the big cities. This town is located near the large Golden Lake. Golden Lake is the 8th deepest lake in the world, formed from the volcanic crater. The lake has been the subject of many folklore stories throughout history, and local Native American tribes believed it to be the gateway to the underworld. Golden Lake possesses mysterious supernatural power that allow writers to bring their work to life on site, including events, creators, and characters. This power are the result of the lake's connection to the dark place, a realm of pure creativity and imagination. It was around this dark mysticism that all the events and plot of the game unfolded. So, based on the ready-made schemes I had made earlier, I started building one of the main buildings of the town. Since the town is a tourist destination, this building is a small hotel with 8 bedrooms. This building stands on a stone foundation with a wooden floor. The building is completely wooden, which enhances the natural value and beauty of this town. In the original game, this building served as a resting place of the main character Saga Anderson. She rested after the exciting events and had a private room to solve mysteries. I decided to make the roof of the building out of this plate, because in the original the roof was wooden, and in Minecraft it would just merge with the walls. So I used my artistic vision to make this part of the building stand out. At the entrance to the hotel there is a large canopy with wooden pillars that hold the triangular roof. And here again I had to adopt the beams to Minecraft style, because if I had left them flat as in the original it would not have looked as attractive. That's why I added more roundings and fasteners to the beams, and in the end I used the heads to make an inscription on the beam. And then I worked on canopies along the walls, where hotel guests could usually relax and enjoy the view of the lake. And in front of the canopies I added a parking and a large sign with the inscription lodge. I placed an advertising sign with the name of the establishment on the side of the building, and I added a chimney and some greenery next to it. At the back there will be a courtyard, where I also made a canopy along the wall, added a fence, and filled this area with various elements and details for guests to relax, such as swings, pergolas, trees, a small wooden terrace, and a parking lot for cars. That was the end of the work with the exterior. I started to make interiors. I made main area with a fireplace, a reception for service, 8 rooms, one of them a recreation area, and from the other part I made a cafe and large room where the main character solves the main problems of the story. Here is a small comparison of this building with the original game and Minecraft. I'll tell you about the next build quickly, but there are some funny moments and details. This is, as I understand it, a small old warehouse of the Dragon Tools and Hardware Company, and there was a pretty funny moment with the building where my friend Akira made a meme. This meme is about the fact that the big AAA game studio made such boring books in their game. Meanwhile, I was able to make such a beauty by filling all the empty areas with different details. Here is a comparison from the original game against my artistic adaptation. And I also forgot to show how I made a roadblock at the entrance to the town. The next building is the Cremation Center. I will repeat many times that this town called Bright Falls, this is very crazy and mystical. There is such a scary thing in the middle of the main story street. But to hell with that, this building is made entirely of brick in the style of old American architecture. I spent a long time trying to figure out how to design the exterior, because in the original nothing should stick out of the walls. So I replaced the brick blocks with a brick wall, which allowed me to make the wall thinner and work better on the detail of the exterior. This is another part attached to the main building, and I didn't understand what was supposed to be there, so I thought about making it an abandoned store. I put up a sign on the facade saying that it was a cremation service. I laid sidewalks near the building, placed a car and electric poles. The back part is a common service yard between the cremation building and the future police station. Do you feel a connection between them? The back of building has a plain white wall, which is usually done to save money on building maintenance. The courtyard is also filled with various interesting details. It was in this courtyard that a key meeting in the battle between the light and dark forces took place. In the middle, I made a lobby for reception and customer service, and the second part is the place where the cremation process is carried out. The next important building I mentioned earlier is the sheriff's office. It's also of key importance in the story of the game. This office has a rather simple shape, and it was difficult to adopt it into the style of Minecraft. But I was still able to add some interesting elements that helped to improve the overall look of this box by adding different protrusions. Above the entrance, I placed a large sign with the name of the building, and around the building I made a street design. I added sidewalks, placed police cars parked near the building, and also a lot of different details. In the middle, I started the interiors of the corridors and offices, where, according to the game's story, important investigations took place regarding the mystical dark events that happened to this town. I also want to draw your attention to this way. I did all the interiors with decorative heads, which are a great addition to the picture that tells the story of these places. The building also had a reference for the interiors, so I was able to fully convey the whole atmosphere of these offices, the prison area and corridors. The next building is the Bright Falls Bank. This building is made entirely of sandstone, and on top of triangular step design element covered with grey slabs. I tried to make windows look more interesting than the original, so I had to improvise. I also added decorative heads to imitation beams. On this triangular wall, I added a backlight sign with the name of the bank. Around the bank, I made a street design, added sidewalks, benches, flower pots, trash cans, and a parked car. In the back, I added more green bushes, a broken car, and other elements. I kept the interior simple. The first half of the building is the main part with bank tellers, and second is the private part where safes with money are kept. The next important building from the game is a small cafe restaurant, Oh Dear Dinner. It was this building in the first part that became a turning point at the beginning of the story of the Dark Forces. Also in this place the White Rose works, who also played a role in the story. This building is shaped like an elongated rectangle and has a stepped wall on top. The entire building is made of concrete, but the foundation is made of stone bricks. From the front, I made a large canopy with neon inside that emits a red and blue light at night. On top of this canopy, I added a large billboard with the name of the establishment. This time I used banners. They fit better here. On the roof I added various ventilation systems and put pine hedges as an imitation for the boards that hold the roof. Near the construction site, I made a sidewalk which I placed a huge billboard advertising the restaurant and the children's amusement park. Then I detailed this whole area with an electric pole, cars, added lighting to the sign, added a shabby texture to the walls of the building, placed various trash cans on the side and a bunch of other details. I did a good job on the interior, putting tables along the windows and walls. In the center I placed the bar table where Rose worked, and in the rest of the building I made corridors to the restrooms, where AlanWake first meets the game's 2K characters, Cynthia Weaver and the dark entity in the human form of Barbara Jagger. The latter tricked the protagonist and sent the main character into the dark trap. And I also made a kitchen where food is prepared for the entire restaurant. The town of Bright Falls is surrounded by very beautiful nature, so the town is trying to protect it. There are many parks, greenery and flower beds in the town, so this place is very unique and comfortable for living. While I'm building this beautiful park, I will tell you a little more about the town. Bright Falls was originally founded like a small mining town for the miners who work in nearby mine. But over time the mining trade began to fade away, and it turned into a tourist town thanks to Elderwood National Park. What I'm building now is a regular city park, but the first building I built in the beginning of the video is a hotel for a huge national park. That's what you can see on the screen. It was this beautiful nature, the endless lake and the myths that were told that saved the town from decline. The small park is ready and I added sidewalks so that you can walk among the trees and birds. I put benches and lighting for comfort and also a small gazebo for relaxation. The next building is the townhouse. This building is intended for residents' meetings to hold various political events and solve the main issues of the town with people. The building is quite large and has L shape. The exterior of the building looks quite classical with white walls, with gradients of different blocks, large windows and dark roof that goes into the plane. I placed small canopies on the roof to add more detail and a lot of other small details like a sign with the name of the building out of decorative heads. The most interesting part of the building is the clock tower, which in the past notified the population about some events and also told and showed the time. I decided to make this part more detailed and realistic, so having moved to the world with the assets, I started building a huge clock and then using maps to transfer the clock to the tower. To make clock correct, I had to remember my high school geometry course to use the rings to divide the deal into 12 equal parts, and I ended up with this result. Then I calmly placed the maps with the picture of the clock on the tower and I am delighted with how cool it looks. The inside of the building is no less interesting. It has a very elegant design. The whole building is divided into several zones. The first one is the reception. There is a locker room and toilet on the side. There is a long corridor where people can wait for meeting while listening to the piano or looking at the paintings on the walls. There is also a separate lounge with a mini kitchen. And most importantly, there is an assembly hall with various meetings are held. All of these rooms were not in the original game, so I made my interior based on my improvisation. This area will be reserved for traditional old wooden shops in the style of the Wild West. These shops have probably survived since the founding of the town, as they were built mostly of wood. There are 3 shops here are located next to each other, and each has different shape and height. These will also have different wood materials to make them different from each other. From the bottom, I used thin walls of different materials in which I set glass panels. I added hanging flower beds under the windows to decorate them. Above, I added a canopy to protect from the rain that will be common to both stores. And above it, I placed a signboard with the names of the stores. It's a grocery store, a flower shop, and a gun shop. Don't even try to ask me about it. This is my just crazy idea of what America is like. And a lot of different decorative details, such as decorative locks, buttons, windows and trapdoors. On this side, 6 more shops will be located in these areas, which will be made of the same style. The first shop I just copied from the previous ones to save time and made it closed for sale like it was in the original, and next to it I placed the town's news board, where the news of the town, some events and advertisements are usually placed. I made these two shops by hand because they are different from the others. This is a tool store, we used to build their warehouse, and the other store is an antique shop. The other two shops are a music store and clothing store, which I copied and changed the materials. And the last store is I built a modern style of concrete, it's a computer shop. In the middle of each build, I made my own unique interior and placed decorative hats in the form of a thematic product. And behind the shops I filled the empty area with backyards. This area will be a mini park, like in the original, which I quickly filled with trees and laid side walls in my discretion, as it looked like in the original. And at this point I will have to jump into the future to talk about the main buildings first, and later about the other secondary houses. This large area will be the embankment, which will be divided into several subzones. For example, a restaurant, a fishing warehouse and marina, an area with a pier and gazebo, and a parking lot for yachts and boats. Let's start with the restaurant first. I played around with its size and scale for a long time, and it didn't work out, so I had to redraw the embankment scheme again. After that, the construction process went well. This restaurant is located above the water on a pier with a beautiful view of the lake. It's a two-story but light building with a lot of windows. The second floor is much larger because it overhangs the first floor, which adds a strange and interesting style. The whole building has grey and white accents to emphasize its lightness. I placed the name of the restaurant Clay Clam House on the front, and around the building I placed many tables for street restaurant. And on the side, this area is a service area, where service cars and garbage cans are located. And in the middle I made the interior, which I borrowed from the other restaurant. Okay, I finished building this restaurant, right? No! So, as my friend said, this building looks too boring, but what I'm going to do if the original has a flat design? So, I took my old last trench and redesigned everything to my style, and now it looks much better. The next area of the embankment is a fishing warehouse. This building is quite iconic, as it's a recognizable point of the city from the both part of the game. This is not a large fishing enterprise that catches fish in the lake to provide food for residents. It may have thrived once, but now it's all been neglected. This area has 3 buildings that also stand above the water on a pier, and I built a checkpoint at the entrance for the facility. The central building is the main fish processing plant, which I made in this design with the large inscription on the walls and gradients that imitate dirt and darkening in places where water leaked. The building behind it is probably some kind of warehouse, built in the same style as the main one, with a big company name along the old wall. I also tried to make fishing boats and put them in their places. We won't dwell on this area for long, but I will say that I made a wooden promenade with the different platforms, where on one of them I placed benches and a boat for tourists to get on to travel around the lake. And on the other platform I made a large gazebo for relaxing by the lake. I placed the benches, hung flower pots on chain, and transferred a bunch of different parts from the original game. Along the road in the front of the hotel, I moved and destroyed wooden sidewalks from the original, which has not been repaired for a long time. Here, on a long ledge, I built a large pier with a bunch of different details such as benches, barrels, and at the end I added a destroyed pier element with a blocked road. Most likely here the pier collapsed. Also, this long pier is intended for landing people on yacht. I have never built a yacht in Minecraft, so I had to experiment a lot with the shape to get it right. And yet, I made the best yacht I ever built. It has such wonderful shapes, such high frames, and the whole thing shines with a white light. The last area of the quay I decided to completely redo by hand because it didn't match the way it should be. This area for parking and servicing boats and yachts. I placed 2 service towers, several ships covered with a cover, and a bunch of other details. For example, this destroyed pier of which only the pier sticking out of the water remain. This is Bright Falls Post Office, which provides postal services to the entire town and sorts parcels. This building has a similar architectural style to the Cremation center, so it's obvious that this building was also built a long time ago. In this building I made a similar style for the walls, but the windows I made a lighter frame, make it stand out against the wall. Later I added a small detail of andesite stairs and wooden detail along the wall. Then I replaced the walls with different materials to show the antiquity of the building, and on the front wall above the entrance I placed the name of the building from decorative heads and added the US flag on both ends. Near the post office I placed 2 parked service vehicles that deliver mail throughout the town. Also, I placed other small elements near the walls to fill the empty space with various boxes and parcels that are probably lying there for a long time or are being prepared for delivery. And in the backyard I placed a service area with a bunch of trucks. On this side the building has a similar look with a white material and 2 large gates for trucks to enter the mail storage center. And in this area I quickly sketched another park that has a small square with benches and a large statue in the center, which is originally dedicated for the founders of the town. And a tier higher I made a small alley with the decorative fir trees. I wanna build the interior of the post office. Let's see what's inside. Okay, go to the next building. Bruh. Oh man, okay, maybe this? So, not all building has an interior, and that makes the project a little bit more complicated, because I had to make a fucking interior in all the buildings. Okay, let's get to it. So I took the references from the internet and my improvisation to build this interior. The first zone is the customer service department, which is why it has such elegant and attractive design. The second zone is a working office area, where organizational processes take place, and in this huge area there is a cargo department where mail is sorted. The next big area is the town's church. It's also the oldest in Bright Falls. The building has a classic shape for those time, a large rectangle with a triangular roof, and a large tower built in the center of the building with a bell tower. On the side of this building, I added a few wall supports that have a name. Fuck, I don't know the name of this detail. ChatGPT, your time has come. Hi, can you tell me the name of the pillars that stand along the walls of churches and cathedrals?
Certainly. I appreciate the clarification. If you are referring to the pillars that stand along the walls of churches and cathedrals for support and structural reinforcement, then the appropriate term is buttresses. Buttresses are exterior supports,
okay,
often massive
thank you.
and constructed.
Stop, please, I said thank you. So, it's called buttresses. I don't know if it was so important to ask per ChatGPT. I made the windows in the same style as in the original with a white frame, but I added colored stained glass for a better effect. Also, I added more details to the walls, such a chaotic texture of different blocks and polished granite contours. Along these pillars, I installed larger windows to let the light fill the whole room. I also added a small service house at the back, and on the back wall, there is a large drawing of a white cross. In the back of the church, I placed a classical cemetery. Please tell me why cemeteries in America are so boring. And in the front part of the territory, I placed sidewalks and various trees for comfort. Again, there was no interior in the middle, so I had to improvise and make my own. First, I added lighter walls inside, placed a cross for worship near the main wall, and a wooden platform for the priest to stand on. And I filled the rest of the space with benches for guests, as well as lighting and greenery. Well, I reached the final stage of my challenge to build Bright Falls 1-to-1, and now at this stage I had to complete the houses where the people live. I decided to summarize and combine the story of these houses in the script to quickly tell the general characteristics about them. In total, there are 6 variants of the houses in the original game, which have their own style and shape. On this street along the lakeshore, I made all the 6 variations from scratch, each with its own interior. And later I made a unique courtyard for each house with different details, such as sidewalks, flower beds, swings, gazebos, lighting, and these piers that offer a beautiful view of the entire lake. And now I have a question. AAA Studio, what the hell is this? All these areas on the edge of the town are completely empty. I understand that it's for optimization, but you could have built a full town so that players could walk along the cool streets. Well, fans of the game and Minecrafters have to take matter into their own hands and work out what the developers skipped. On these empty zones, I simply took and copied 6 ready-made houses and pasted them around the map, while building a yard for them. Each courtyard is also unique, but for the houses that I copied, I changed the color of the walls to make them a little bit more different. The main part of the city is fully completed, but I still have to finish 2 bridges over the lake that were in the original game. One bridge leads around a small pond into a tunnel, and the other bridge is farther away, which is a little longer and also goes into a tunnel. This project may not be most popular among Minecrafters, but for me personally, who played the AlanWake game, I really like the atmosphere and plot of the game, which inspired me to creatively reconstruct the town in Minecraft. If you like my projects in Minecraft from different games and movies with mystical and interesting stories, then welcome to our small community. Click to the subscribe button and like this video to make it more popular. Also, if you wanna download my previous projects, you can visit my Planet Minecraft, where you can download all previous maps for free. And if you wanna to get early access to new projects, you can visit my Patreon. Thank you for your support. I am pleased with how well and accurately I managed to convey the entire town in the cubic space of Minecraft. This will allow players and fans of the game to walk around the town freely and explore its features, which the original game did not allow due to its stupid optimization restrictions. Please like and subscribe if you like my content. See you in the future!